towards research topic identification. During my period in academics, I learned two things as a scholar and as well as a supervisor or guide. The most difficult task is identifying the research topic. Why and what is the importance of research topic? That we can see in one sentence next. If we choose a proper research topic, then the chance of success increases. And if you are doing a PhD, then by choosing proper research topic through a proper process, one will remain motivated throughout the journey of PhD. If we are writing a research paper, then also by choosing a proper topic, by proper topic in case of research paper is the title of the paper. If we identify the title of the paper properly, then it is easy to write the paper and submit it to a journal for success. That is why a well chosen research topic is very, very important. I hope most of you will agree with this. An experienced person, inexperienced person, anybody who is there, they will agree with this statement. Okay. Now, I this is my personal view. This is not from literature or anything else. I divide students, research students, into two categories. The first category is progressive research students. And these students are mostly independent. They will do most of the things independently. Whenever they are stuck and after their effort, they are not finding it easy to move forward, then they will take help of guide in the whole research process, starting from the identification of research topic to submission of the thesis. Similarly, starting from the identification of title of the paper to submission of the paper. These are all progressive students. But the other category is regressive student. And nowadays in universities, I don't know about the institutions, but in most of the state universities, many research students are regressive. They are highly dependent on the supervisor or the guide. The expectation from these students, this type of student is that the guide or the supervisor will give them the topic to work or to do research. They will not do anything. After that, the guide will help them in every step, whether in writing a research paper, doing the research, or writing the thesis. Complete handholding is expected. So they do not become independent even after the research. The research is of no use to them after they complete the research to this type of students. So I expect that those who are students attending this webinar, they will try to be mostly independent instead of being dependent or instead of expecting hand holding from the guide or supervisor. They can take guidance always, whenever it is necessary, take guidance, but don't expect hand holding. if you are doing a research. Now, once we decide to do the research or get into the field of research, research means academic research. In the academics, once we decide to enter into the field of research, first we should get acquainted with the fundamentals of research. Now, what are these fundamentals? I'm not going to describe everything, but I'll tell you that we should know that we have to identify a research problem on which we'll work. In the research problem, there will be research question. We have to solve that question. To solve that question, we have to do a literature review, know what has been done, how it has been done, what can be further work can be done. Then maybe we'll require to do fieldwork, particularly if we are in business administration or business studies or in humanities. Mostly they involve fieldwork. For science, also like marine science, there are certain departments or fields in which involve fieldwork. So, what are the requirements of fieldwork? If you are doing a research, then you should know if there is fieldwork involved. Then the important thing is research methods. What are the methods of research? They include surveys, questionnaires, then focus groups, then conducting research in a laboratory, doing experiments, etc. So there are different types of methods, and one should get acquainted with what type of method, which method one is going to use. One should get acquainted before starting the research. Finally, in the coursework, pre-PhD coursework, mostly this is taught research methodologies. What are the methodologies used in research? These include either qualitative research or quantitative research or a mixture of both these two types of research. One should be acquainted with this. Just get acquainted before starting research, just get acquainted with this. Then one should enter into the field of research. Now, once you decided that you will do research, you have going to start research. Before starting research, one should know what are the requirements at the research level in the institution or in the university that one is going to do research. Or with the guide or with the department, there will be certain requirements. Here are some examples of those requirements. One is originality. How much unique is your research? By this, I mean, is it 10% unique novelty? What is its novelty that the research is being done? What is acceptable to the university or institution? It should be at least 10% or at least 20%, at least 50%. Mostly, when you submit a research paper, many of us would have received a comment that the novelty is not well defined. So, unless we have clarity on what is the originality of the paper or the novelty of the paper or novelty of the research, it is difficult to do the research. So, first get clarity. How much novelty is expected out of your work? It cannot be 100% always. It cannot be definitely less than 15 to 20%. It has to be between 20 to maybe 80% or 90% novelty, depending on the institution and depending on the facilities available to one. Then, what are the restrictions on topics? One may be interested in doing research in the field of electronics. I belong to field of electronics. One may be interested in doing research in the field of electronics. Very good. He goes to a one institution or university, then the problem is in the field of electronics, there are more than 50 branches within the field of electronics. So suppose somebody wants to do research in robotics or cognitive science in electronics, in cognitive capabilities or neural networks. Now that specialization may not be available at the university or institution where one is going to do the research. Then he cannot do that research in that university. So there will be restrictions on topics, even if you choose a field in that field, the teachers are available, the supervisors are available, will have some specialization. One has to do research in those specializations. So whether the interest of the student aligns to any of those specializations. Before starting the research, one should know that. Otherwise, there will be problem as one progresses with the research. Then maybe data requirement for the research. The research that one is going to do, what type of data he is going to deal with, whether it is primary data or secondary data or both type of data. Finally, ethics. What are the ethical requirements in the university or institution? Particularly if one is doing research in biological sciences or life sciences, ethics is very important. What are the restrictions? What are the requirements? So these things one should get, one should know. Acquaintancy is earlier I have told. Now one should know these things. Then one can start doing research. So this is the platform or foundation of today's webinar. Now we'll proceed with the real stuff next. So once we have decided that we are going to do research and we are acquainted with everything that the uh, institution or university requires and what is our interest, then we have to orient ourselves to the domain of research. This is the next step. So, how to orient ourselves to the domain of research? First, we have to identify what are the broad field and what are the potential subdomains of our research. What are the bold field of and subdomains of our interest, where we are interested. Like while we were reading, whether we are doing a coursework or whether we are in the PG or undergraduate studies there, what are the subjects that were of interest to us? So that we have to identify first next. So first what you will show, first find out what are the modules that you enjoy, what are the topics that you enjoy, about which you will like to know more. That is why you will do research. If you want to like know more about something, then you will do research about that. So first identify that. Then find out or identify which are the areas of your intellectual curiosity. That is important. But with that, what is important is you should not have strong emotional attachment to any area. That is not curiosity. Strong emotional attachment is not curiosity. Neither if you have a preconceived notion about any area, that is not curiosity. Curiosity is you know something and want to know beyond that. Or you know something, there is a problem, you want to solve that problem. You have not known something within a area of your interest. That is what is your curiosity. So these two should not be there. If you have emotional attachment or a preconceived notions, then you have a bias. Once bias enters into research, research will not give you fruitful result, proper result will not be there. Result will be biased, research will fail. So these two you have to be very careful. No strong emotional attachment, no strong preconceived notion. Once we have identified broad field and potential subdomain of interest, next. Then those fields we have identified, whether we will be capable to do research in that field or not. What is our personal expertise? What is our interest? Are we motivated enough? That we have to assess. This assessment one can do by discussing with friends, teachers, prospective supervisors, discuss this, assess personal expertise, personal interest, and your motivation. Then we'll decide. Once this part is over, then go to the third part, do a mapping of preliminary understanding of the domain challenges, the domain in which you are going to do research. What are the challenges in that domain? Then map those challenges to our expertise, to our interest, to our motivation, etc., and see whether there is a proper matching. If there is a proper matching, then our research domain orientation is correct and we can do research in that area. Next. Now, before we begin doing research, we have to build a foundation for research. That we can do by reading. What we have to read? Start with classic books. This you will do till you complete the coursework. So they are up to that. Before the coursework, whatever subjects you have read, and in the coursework, whatever subject you have read some classic books from the domain of your interest. First do that. Read some classic books. Once you have read some classic books, then we'll move forward to read some recent books or reference books related to those domains. Third step is read some review papers and then go to read some recent thesis. Now, how to do this? For reading some classic books, first you read some classic books. Once you have read some classic books, whether you yourself have read, whether it has been taught in your classroom, I am sure everybody, 99.99% will have some doubts in the domain or on topics, etc. Now, once we have doubt, we have to clear or clarify that doubt. For clarification, you require a teacher. And it is not always possible that we'll go to our teacher who is teaching us in the classroom. Always it may not be possible. They may not always have time. It may not be a suitable time whether you have a doubt at 9 o'clock in the evening. There you cannot have access to your teacher. It is difficult. So what you have to do? Take help of this AI Studio from the Google. I will give you one example. I will show you one example here from AI Studio in Google. Then we will proceed forward. How you can clarify your doubt. So I'm just giving a live example of going to AI Studio in Google. So go to Google AI Studio. Okay. Now, once you come here, there is something called chat prompt. You can see that there is a chat prompt. There you have to give a system instruction or system prompt. You can do anything. You can give any prompt, but for today's topic, let me give a prompt like act like a tutor. Tutor means teacher. So act like a tutor in some field. I will give you the field as in the field of journalism. Let us say journalism. Let us take or electronics. Anyone journalism. Why I am taking journalism? One reason is my daughter reads in journalism department. Second reason is journalism, and it is called journalism and mass communication. Communication is common to electronic science or electronics engineering as well as journalism. So I like a tutor in on the field of journalism. Now, once you have given this, then we'll come here. This is the prompt where you will give the prompt. Now you can give the prompt, explain to an undergraduate student the concept of Shannon theorem. Shannon theorem is uh, common to both journalism and mass communication. So once you give this, you will get an explanation. Okay, so you can see it gives a detailed explanation sorry, about Shannon's theorem, why it is required, what are the challenges, what is a channel, what is noise, what are key ingredients in Shannon's theorem. So everything it gives you, and finally, in simple terms, it defines it. Give me a minute. Now, suppose you are not comfortable in reading. It gives you an explanation, writes it. But in India, our learning is based on Shruti and Smriti. Mostly, if you listen, you learn. So, what you will do here is go to stream. So, click stream, then go to talk. Now, can you explain me what is Shannon's theorem? Can you explain me what is Shannon's theorem?
Shannon's theorem defines the maximum rate at which data can be transmitted over a communication channel with a specified bandwidth in the presence of noise. Would you like me to go into more detail?
Yes, please go into more details.
Essentially, the theorem states that the channel capacity, or the maximum data rate, is proportional to the bandwidth of the channel and the signal-to-noise ratio. Higher bandwidth and a better signal-to-noise ratio allow for a higher data rate. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you. So this is an explanation. This is an illustration of how you can interact with it in voice. In voice, it will tell you. Uh, so Once you give a question or interact it with it, the reply will be in audio. So audio reply you can always hear. So this is one example of using the tools. Okay. Then next is uh, you have to go to review papers or any paper. Now for papers, when you read papers or you want to find papers, mostly one free source is available which is called Google Scholar. Now this Google Scholar has been AI enabled and one can read and understand the paper using the AI enabled Google Scholar. I have added the link, use that link and go to Google Chrome, and from the Google Chrome add the extension. I am just demonstrating how the extension can be added. Now we have added the extension. After adding the extension, you can give any topic or any keywords in the Google Scholar, then open the PDF. Once you open the PDF, if a PDF is available, then open that PDF. Once that PDF is available, you can see the on the right hand side you have the PDF. On the left hand side, we have got an AI outline, which means this AI outline gives a summary of everything in the PDF. So instead of reading the whole PDF, first you read the bulleted point summary in the from the PDF, which is given as the AI outline. If it is of interest to you, once you read this, once you find that it is interesting, then you go on to read the PDF fully, complete reading of the PDF, taking notes from the PDF file. Now, when you are reading the PDF, this shows you, once you go to this side, it shows each section of the PDF. So, what is modern AI? So, each heading will be there. So, whichever heading you want to read, go to that reading part that you can do. Now, when you are reading the PDF, suppose here you find figure 3b. So click on figure 3b, it will directly take you to the figure 3b. You can read and refer the figure 3b. So this way, similarly, there will be references. No, you go to the reference, click on the reference, the field reference. From the PDF, go to any site. No, no, not this. In the paper. Within the paper, there will be reference. Within the paper, go to the paper. Okay. So click on any of these references. It will show you what is the reference. Then what is there in the reference? The abstract will be shown in the reference. What is the abstract that you can see? Then from there you can directly see how many people have cited it. If you want to cite it, go to cite and click on the site. Choose the method through which you are going to cite. Usually people choose APA if you are in humanities, or we in the we usually choose IEEE. Here the Google does not give the IEEE style of reference. So this you can do everything. So this is how you have to read the paper and take notes from the paper and get acquainted with this. So this is one method of reading the review papers or any other paper. Mostly the review paper. Then go to some recent thesis. Read some recent thesis that you can do by going to Shodhganga. In India, Shodhganga from Infinite that gives as the uh, repository of thesis. So there you can go and choose the thesis that you want. Give the keywords. You will find many theses from which them you choose your thesis. I am not going to give the example here of Shodhganga because mostly in most institutions and universities it is available. So I am leaving it, but just reminding you that you can go to Shodhganga. Okay, this is before we start. Then we have to do a strategic sampling of recent literature. How to do that? First, we have to focus on research papers which are published in top tier journals and conferences, mostly journals, then conferences. From those, if we are writing a paper, we have to select 5 to 10 most recent high impact papers in our potential area of interest. If you are going to do a PhD, then it can be 10 to 20. Ideally 15, 10 to 20. Don't go up to 30 or 50 papers. Maximum 10 to 20 papers. That I'll find out. And in this selection, include some review papers, not all. Two or three review papers, recent review papers, very recent. Then you can include also some meta-analysis if it is available. Once you have done these, then you have to prioritize the papers that you have selected. How to prioritize the paper? First thing is you have to look if the paper has future research direction. Somehow, somewhere in the paper, if it is written future research direction, can be a heading or subheading in the paper, or look into its discussion part or conclusion part where the authors usually write in future research can be done in this area. And so if the paper has that future research direction, choose those papers first. Then also consider papers which have diverse methodological approach, whether it is qualitative or quantitative or both. So diverse. So from all fields, if it is possible, consider papers from that. So then prepare a list of about 5 papers or by 5 to 10 papers or 20 papers. Now where you will get this? You will get the papers if you want to get free. Many papers you will get in Google Scholar or Semantic Scholar or OpenAlex. OpenAlex is AI driven, so it is easy, very fast it finds you the paper, these three websites. Uh, and you can note this and take it. Then the last three are usually available to institutions in India. Institutions and universities in India, they get it through UGC or InfinityNet as they provide these things, or government is providing to this. So your university must have subscription to these three, last three. Last three I cannot demonstrate. Google Scholar we have demonstrated. Semantic Scholar is also same as Google Scholar, similar as Google Scholar. You give keywords or a topic, it will give you a list of paper. OpenAlex is also similar. So since all these three are similar, I am not going to demonstrate them. What I want to tell or emphasize here is you have to use these three at a time. Go to Google Scholar, open Semantic Scholar, and open OpenAlex. Then give the same topic or same keywords in all these three. They will give you, each one will give you a list of papers. Now, what you will do is there will be some common papers that you will choose. There may not be some common papers. There may be some papers which are different. Those also you will choose when you are choosing the past 10 to 15 papers, 15 to 20 papers. So that is what you have to do. So from all the sources, you have to collect the papers, recently published papers. When we say recently published paper means published within the last 3 years, maximum 4 years. 3 years is better, always 3 years is better. Because if you go into those papers, they are the problems or research directions that they have given. Those will be new. If you go beyond that, people would have already worked on those topics, so they will not be new to you. So you have to work on new field of research. Remember always it is you have to work on new field of research, new field. So don't go to the older papers because work would have already completed in those papers. So this is always a better way. Next. Now, with this background, we will come to the process of identification. How to identify the research topic. First, we have to find out research gap. What is research gap? Research gap is an unanswered question or unresolved problem within a research area. That is what is called research gap. How to find the research gap? Read the research paper, read the introduction section, discussion section, and conclusion section. Only these three parts. Take a research paper, read introduction section, or discussion section, and conclusion section. In the introduction section, it would have identified what research work has been done in a literature review. Then it would have done identified what methodologies have been used, what this paper is going to use, and what is the research gap existing at that point of time. Note that. Then in the discussion and in the conclusion, there will be future work. Similarly, there can be limitations. So those things you have to look. So those, from that you will get questions on result problems. Once you find the research gap, then you go to the research aim. So you have to establish your research aim. Once you have identified research gap, one has to establish the research aim. What is research aim? This is a broad statement which outlines what one is expecting to achieve with the research. If one is going to conduct research, what is one going to achieve? Write it in form of a statement. So it is broad in nature. Once it is decided, research aim is decided. Next is decide the research question. What is research question? This is a specific query, not broad aim. It is a specific query that the research will attempt to answer. What is going to be answered in the research? That is research question. Now, how to answer this research aim or research question? For that, one has to set objectives. These are specific steps or actions for achieving the research aim. This narrows down the research aim into manageable tasks. So there can be 3 or 4 objectives. And now, if you are doing you are writing a research paper, concentrate only one objective or 2 objectives. If you are doing a PhD, concentrate on 4 or 5 objectives. Each objective can be a chapter of your PhD thesis. Next. And research aim then defines the topic or the thesis title. And now, what is the research gap classification? What is research gap? Research gap, we have seen the definition. This is the most important part. Unless we identify the research gap, it is impossible, actually, it is impossible to do the research. Whether you are writing a paper or you are going to do PhD, identification of research is important, research gap, and classifying that research gap, knowing what are the types of research gap is important. Many a times, this novelty issue comes when you submit a paper because research gap is not properly identified. And once it is identified, one can write that this research gap is there. We are going to solve this research gap. If what that is done, then novelty issue won't be there in the research paper, neither in the research paper nor in the thesis. Now, the gap existing in knowledge. This is one class of research gap. What this means, under this there are 4 categories: classic literature gap, disagreement literature gap, contextual researcher gap, theoretical researcher gap. We'll see these examples. Then the second class is related to research methodology. There are two types, methodological gap, empirical gap. That also is see. Finally, gaps in practical application. This also has two categories, practical problem gap, practical knowledge conflict gap. So broadly, these are the below in the line, last line, 8 gaps are broadly the main research gaps. Once we know these gaps, get some idea on these gaps. There are other gaps, but these are the most important gaps, class of gaps. So let us start with those 8 gaps. What is classic gap? Let us see a classic gap. This is a lack or insufficiency of research on a new concept. It can be a concept, it can be a phenomena, it can be an aspect of a topic, it can be a particular group of people or geographical area or particular material. It can be a subtopic, but there is lack or insufficiency of research in that. This is one class. Other is there can be situations where the field lacks foundational understanding. So the field is not understood properly. Foundation is improper. So develop that. Second is disagreement. This is basically contrasting or contradictory findings in a particular research question. This always leads to a consensus or clarity, lack of consensus or clarity. Let me give one example how you will find out this type of research. And go to this website, consensus. Okay, here the answer, it is a question answer type of website. What you will write here uh, is it correct or whether, right, whether AI, development of AI is affecting academic research. So this is a question. The answer is yes or no, whether it is affecting or it is not affecting. So what you will see is the result you will see. Give me a minute. Actually, today there was power cut. Because of that, uh, it is very slow. Okay. Here you will see a consensus meter. Perfectly. Okay, now you look at the consensus meter. If you look at the consensus meter, Aswini, okay, now you can see there in consensus meter it writes requires at least 5 papers that directly answer your question. So there are not sufficient paper on this. Therefore, we are not getting a consensus meter. Let us try something else. Does smoking affect cardiac health? Hmm. Now you can see it says 100%. 20 relevant papers, it has found 20 relevant papers. Answer is yes, is 100%. Now you can see, no, keep it top. Yes. This yes can be 10%, 20%, possibly can be 10, 20%, 30%. Mixed, there can be some percentage of mix, there can be some percentage of no. From that, you will find out whether here there is no conflict. If no, suppose no would have been 100%, there is no conflict. But had the yes is 30%, no is 20%, possibly is 50%. That can be, there is a conflict. That there you can do a research in this fact. Or mixed, there also you can do a research in this fact. So this is one way of finding out a topic whether it is useful or not. Once you know this, then you will find out what are the papers. Go down, scroll down. Okay. Now it so gives you the papers here. Smoking results, effects of tobacco smoking, etc. So from that you have to choose the papers, whatever is relevant to you. Next. Then contextual, which means there is an absence of research in a specific topics or specific context. For example, a particular population, age, gender, race, geographic area, particular condition, which means temperature or hot or cold in that conditions, time periods, etc. Different context. Then theoretical. Next. And this is a lack of application of existing theory to a specific research problem, or there is a conflict or gap between different theoretical models describing the same phenomenon. A same phenomenon is defined by conflicting theories or theory conflicting models. Next. Then methodological. This includes issues with earlier research methodologies, like use of inferior or outdated methods are used, so you want to use a new method, recent method. Or there is limitations in the data analysis, limitations in procedures or research tools, those are outdated this time. Or there is a lack of diversity in methodology, you want to employ a new methodology, etc. Then empirical is the conclusion of the study or the claims in the study. They need to be assessed properly or confirmed experimentally to verify that it is correct. Situations where there is no study which clearly attempts to examine a subject or topic empirically. Then practical problems. So there are real world problems which are existing where current methods or understanding are not working effectively or are impractical. So use those problems, develop a practical problem for that. Includes impractical methods of production or techniques with low output in research. And then practical knowledge conflict. Suppose there are two uh, stalwarts and one stalwart is saying something about a topic, other stalwart is saying something about a topic, practical knowledge. So there is a conflict there. The conflict or discrepancy is because of experts, they behave differently from what they propose, or there is professional behavior or procedures, they differ from research conclusions, they are not investigated in research. Okay. So these are types of research. Now, how to identify the research gap? Once you know the types of research or practice of research, one has to proceed to identify the research gap. First is define your broad area of interest. We have seen this. Identify related keywords and search on that also we have seen. Search for the most recent academic paper. That also we have seen. Then the next thing is focus your reading on key sections of the paper. What are the key sections I have told you? Introduction, and discussion and conclusion, or if there is future research. Uh, then You have to document potential research gaps systematically by focusing your reading to key sections of the. This is the first step. Second step is look for patterns. Once you have identified the potential research gaps, then look for patterns or recurring themes in the research gaps. Then consider different types of research gap to which research gap which one is fitting. Then synthesize a potential research gap on which you will going to work. Then verify the gap. Verify the gap means look whether research has been done on that subject by this time or there is no research. Otherwise, you have synthesized and worked on a gap, then finally you will find that somebody else has already worked on it. So that you have to verify before starting your research. So once gap is identified, discuss with your supervisor, identify the gap. Once the gap is identified, next is identify your research aim. What is research aim? It is not specific. It is usually general in nature. Typically, it is a statement of intent, what you are going to do, that statement. It provides a general focus, not a pinpointed focus. And it has an overreaching goal of the study. We'll see some examples later. Next. Once aim is established, formulate the research question. And that is your topic. So clearly identify and understand the research gap. That is step one. Step two is define broad area of your research. Step three is formulate an initial research question. Step four is refine and focus your research question. Once you have formulated the initial or rough question, then refine it and finalize your research question. These four steps we'll see now. Then ensure that it is aligned to your research aim. Okay, we'll see some examples. In the field of lack of research, suppose it is lack of research. Let me give you an example. Research gap is existing research on the long-term effects of a specific intervention has primarily relied on cross-sectional data, offering only a snapshot view of the outcome. This is the research gap. What are the theme in this? Specific intervention is one theme, long-term effect is a theme, longitudinal data is theme. Theme or you can call it keywords. Now from this, what you will do? Formulate the research question. What are the long-term effects of what are given? Give a specific intervention. Now, refine this question. How does the frequency and nature of social media use relate to reported level of anxiety and depression among teenagers aged 13 to 17 living in area, rural area of Odisha, rural area of India. So that is specified region or country. So now your question is specified. The first question is broad. What are the long-term effects of, uh, let us say, frequency or nature of social media use? Long-term effect of social media use. That is broad, rough. But now you have specified. So this is your research question. Similarly, contradictory finding. Research on effectiveness of a new teaching method has yielded mixed results, with some studies reporting significant improvements in student performance, while others show no discernible difference. Now, what are the theme in here? New teaching method, student performance. What can be your question? What is the effectiveness? Now mention there of new teaching method, like visual aid on student performance. What are the moderating factors that explain the inconsistency finding regarding the impact of uh, new teaching method on primary school students, mathematics score or English score or science score that you can. Similarly, these are two other examples. Let me skip these examples. Next. Now, let us do an experiment. of finding the research gap. You have collected some papers. I will show you some 5 papers. I'll collect some 5 papers and find the research gap. For that, you can use two tools. Any one of these tools. One is called SciSpace, other is called Illicit. SciSpace is comparatively affordable. Illicit is slightly more costly. So go to SciSpace. Okay, once you log into the SciSpace, then go to My Library. In the My Library, you can upload your PDF files that you have already downloaded onto your machine. So those files you can upload. I have uploaded those files. Here already I have uploaded 5 files. Then you have to find out these 4 things from each paper. What is the aim of study? What is the methodology used in the study? What is limitations of the study? What are suggestions for future research? So what you are essentially doing is you are constructing a matrix, research gap matrix, RG matrix. You are constructing a research gap matrix. Now, once these are done, then you can export this as a Excel file if you have purchased this. Otherwise, what you will do is select this and paste it in the PDF Excel file. So I can show you. Okay, what we have done here, because I don't have a subscription, I have selected it and pasted it here. Okay, on those 4 headings, I have pasted it here. Next, go. Now here you can see something that always you will not get an answer. So one example. Okay, not addressed in this paper or not available. In that case, what you will do is for methodology used, it says not addressed in the paper or not applicable, something like that. So in that case, go to the paper, go to the chart in the paper. There you write what is the methodology used in the study. Then it will give you the methodology of the study. So whatever is in the bulleted point, copy that, paste it there in the uh, Excel sheet. So that is what we have done. Methodology used in the study that we have pasted. Okay. You can also do one thing. Instead of going into that, you can straightway come to paper by paper, first paper, open it in the chat. In the chat, once you open it in the chat, right? What are the aim of the study, methodology used in the study, limitations of the study, and future scope. Okay. If you write that, straight away you will get everything here itself. From here, you can copy it and paste it in the literature matrix. So what is in the bullet point? That you have to copy. Okay. Now remember one thing. This is making your research easier. But these are all chatbots. They depend on GPT. The GPT itself hallucinates. So there can be mistakes. Be aware of this. This is most important. There can be mistakes. You have to verify that there is no mistake by reading the paper. To read the paper, click on this reference. So that gives you in the paper where it is available. So confirm that by read that part. Just don't click on this. Click on this and read that part. Read that part and confirm that what it is writing, that is correct. Once that is done, then you formulate your research matrix. Once the research matrix is done, okay, I think this is enough. This you can do with elicit also. The same thing one can do with elicit. Elicit, I have given another example for literature review earlier. Okay. Here also extract data from PDF. Okay. You can go to the library. Here also I have uploaded the 5 papers. Select all the papers. Extract data. Now on the manage column, you can write limitation, name of the study, whatever we have written there, that you can write here. Aim of the study. And if you want to chat with the paper, you can chat with the paper. Okay. Here also you will get bullet points. Okay. So this is what you can do to form your literature matrix, literature gap matrix. Now, after that, you have to read the literature gap matrix, identify what type of gaps are there, what are the gaps, which on which gap you want to work, etc. That you have to do from the literature matrix. Next. Now, suppose you are struggling to find out the proper literature gap. Then you can go to a GPT, whether it is Chat GPT or whether it is Perplexity. Either of the two you can go. One, mostly students are using Chat GPT. Problem with Chat GPT is it is it is trained with data up to 2023. So mostly it hallucinates. Once you give it any new topic, it will hallucinate. So the result or answer may not be proper, correct. Anyway, I will show you with ChatGPT what you can do. Upload your research matrix here. Once research matrix is uploaded, then give the research question and give the prompt. I have selected the prompt. I have developed the prompt. So select this prompt, copy it, give that prompt to the ChatGPT, and ask it to do the thing for you. Remember that whatever it does is not final. You have to verify it, comparing your research matrix, read it, identify the gaps yourself, compare and verify that these identified gaps are proper, then go to this, then use this. So you will get proper research aims, question, and you can get the identified gap using this prompt. I have given the prompt and how to identify the gap. Next. Now, if you find anything fishy, you are not satisfied with the identified gap or the research question, then you can refine the response of the chat GPT. So there you can give another prompt, refine your response considering the following, whatever you want to follow it. So write that. It will refine the question. Do it 5 to 10 times or more than 5 to 10 times to exactly arrive at the research gap that you want to work on and the research questions. Next. Now you have to finalize the research question. Once you have got 5 to 10 research questions, and then you have to finalize. For that, use some criteria to evaluate each research question. What are those criteria? What is the originality of the research question? What is the significance of the research question? Is literature available to address that research question? Whether it is sufficient but not plenty, which means there is not 150 or 300 research papers available on that research question. That means the research is already done. If 15 to 20 or maybe 25, 30 papers are done, that is sufficient. So it means research is being done. So you can work on that. Whether you can access the data required to answer that question, how easy it is for you. Then what are the resources that is required and whether you have access to those resources, like equipments in the laboratory or funding if you are going to do a field work. Then whether what is your data collection capabilities, whether you have the skills to collect data, whether you have the means to collect data to answer that question. Then what is your capability of analyzing those data, whether it is quantitative or qualitative data, how competent you are at analyzing that data. Then what is your personal attraction, like statement on the topic generates for you and or whether the value it may add to your career. These two you have to consider. What you will do is basically you will form one Excel sheet. I have formed an Excel sheet, actually Google Sheet. You can download it, the Google Sheet. Always you can go to this site. I'll give you the site where you can do this. Okay, this site is available in the chat box. And also, if you want, you can access my YouTube. In the YouTube for this lecture, for this webinar, the access the YouTube in the description. It is available there. So form a Google Sheet, and for each research question, I have taken 5 examples. You can add more examples if you have 10 or 20 questions. For each research question, give some marks. Originality rated from 0 to 5. Importance arbitrarily gives some values. Importance gives some value. So, what is importance to you? What is the literature availability? So, depending on that, within 1 to 5, give some marks there. There is okay. So, this way, for question 1, you will get a total score. Question 2, you will get a total score. Question 3, 4, 5, everything you will get a total score. Compare those total scores. Then take the top 3 questions. Top 3 scores, you take the top 3 scores. So out of those top 3 scores, the top 3 questions, you have to decide which question you are going to answer. Go to the PPT. Okay, add the scores, rank the top 3 topics, take those topics. Then prepare a paragraph. For each topic, prepare a paragraph. The paragraph should say what you are going to, what will be the study about, what is the originality of the study, why it is important, and how you plan to answer that question. For each topic, each of the 3 topics, do this. Then give those paragraphs to your friends, to your family members, to your teachers, not the supervisor at this stage, other teachers, maybe your undergraduate teachers, postgraduate teachers. Give them, get their feedback, refine it. Once you have refined it, then go to your teacher. Teacher means supervisor. discuss these three topics, then finalize the topic that you have to work on. This is the process of doing your research or finalizing your research topic with which you will definitely succeed. Next. Now, once you have done that, then you have to find out your research objectives. What are research objectives? These are specific, not broad, and these are measurable. Typically, they express in action verbs like to identify, to analyze, to evaluate, etc. What will be done, that will be there. Then these are smaller and concrete steps to contribute to the overall aim. Finally, they detail exactly what you will do to reach your focus point. Let me give one example, two examples, then we'll stop. Now, for that, again, here I have given uh, the prompt for ChatGPT or Perplexity. The prompt is I have finalized the research aim and research questions. One, you have done that. Then write what is the research aim, write what is the research question. Now identify the research objectives for this research aim. Once you give it, it will give you the objectives. I'm not going to show you the example. This you can directly do. These prompts are available in the description of my uh, YouTube. So YouTube for this webinar, there these prompts are available. All the websites that I'm discussing, these are all also available, and you can contact me anytime. My email is also available in the description. Next. So this is one example. The aim is to explore the effects of climate change on marine life in Ganjam, Odisha. Objectives are to identify the key marine species in Ganjam coastal area that are vulnerable to climate change, to analyze the impact of rising ocean temperatures on distribution of these key species, to evaluate the potential long-term consequences of ocean acidification on reproduction rate. So three objectives. One aim, and that is segregated into three objectives. Each objective can be one chapter in your thesis, three-chapter thesis. Here also, to understand the factors contributing to job satisfaction, here also there are three objectives. So there can be four objectives, five objectives. It depends on the question you will find out. Always don't remember that the answer, if you are using ChatGPT, most of you will use, even if we say don't use it, most of the students will use. Even if you are using ChatGPT, remember it hallucinates more than 60% of time. Therefore, you have to verify yourself personally. When you are finding this thing, finalizing this, take at least 1 week in processing. Even if you are using tools, take at least one week. I will devote at least 1 week so that you have to do or give your input, manpower input, personal input, give your personal input into this instead of completely depending on the AI. That can be catastrophic. Ultimate result, you may get catastrophic result. So to avoid that, give sufficient personal input. Take their help, but give sufficient personal input. Next. Now this is the bonus. Uh, bonus is, let me give you, suppose you have decided the topic, etc. Then you have got a paper and you want to understand what is there in that paper. You can again use the AI Studio. Go to the AI Studio. Act as a doctoral supervisor. Full stop. Now upload a paper. Upload file. Explain the concepts involved in this paper to your doctoral student. Enter. Now you can see it is giving the reading the concept and doing this. Now what is advantage here is it is reading the paper. It is not hallucinating. It is reading the paper, understanding it, and from that it is giving you the concepts. So this data is correct. Whatever you are getting here is correct. There is no hallucination. These are correct. So we'll read this content. Remember that here you cannot use the stream. If you use stream cannot be used for files. Stream can be used for pictures maybe, but not for files. You can upload picture and ask it to explain this picture. So it will explain you the picture, etc. Okay, this is one. Then go to the next one. Next is notebook element. So what you will do is upload these files. Up to 50 files you can upload. So you have done a review of literature. To do the review of literature, you have collected up to 50 files. Upload those files here. Once you have uploaded the files, okay, it will give you the summary of all the files, summarize all the files. They are related. It will give you the summary of all the files. Now, what you will do is to understand what is there, generate a mind map. So go to the mind map. Go to the mind map. Okay, now you can see artificial intelligence research is the topic, is the area where it gives you this application of AI, bibliometry. Now, under application of AI, the gender, click on one of those things. If you want to know anything about that, click on that. From all these papers, it will collect the data and give you. So this is the beauty of Notebook LM. It is slightly slow, and once you have done this, if it is of interest to you, save it. If you don't save it, it will be gone. Remember that it is not like ChatGPT. ChatGPT is based on the data that is available up to 2023. This one takes data that you feed it. These five papers are data from this. From these five papers, it will collect data and give it to you. They are not going to be stored in any server anywhere in internet. These are local to you. Local data analysis, everything you will get is here. So do this and understand the paper. You can understand what is there. Then finally take these notes, read these notes, finalize your literature review. You can do the literature review. This is a bonus to you. Then if you want to understand it, what is written there in one of the notes, take that note, go to an audio overview. It will generate a podcast. So use that podcast, listen to that podcast. It will be question answer session. You will understand this. So these are beautiful ways of using AI to understand things. It is very slow. Let us proceed. Finally, we'll come back here and see whether it is, if it is over, completed, we will see that podcast. Then come to insightful. This is for collecting your research papers, how to get the research papers. Okay, what you will do here is to collect research papers, start with a seed research paper. So write the research paper title. Take any one research paper that we have uploaded, downloaded. Take any one. Go to the folder where we have 5 papers. Okay, put it there. Then put search. Either you can give the DOI of the paper or you can give the title of the paper. Once you do that, it will give you a list of papers, research papers connected to that paper, based on that paper. Go down, go down, go down. Okay. Now you choose one of those papers, latest paper, 23, that you choose. Okay. Go down. It gives you, go down, go down. It gives you a map of that paper, basic paper will be there, and a map of that paper will be given there. Okay, how it is connected to other papers, that is there. Then important part is below, similar papers. Now these are the similar papers. How many times those papers are cited? What is the similarity to the original paper? And when it was published? Everything is there. So from that you can select papers. Then the important part is this. What are the most important papers which are ranked by page rank? They tend to be the older papers in this field. What are the most important papers in this field? Then what are the review papers? Instead of looking for review papers anywhere else, here you will straightway get what are the review papers. So important review papers you can collect here. Next. Mm. Recent papers by the top 100 authors in this field. So these are the recent papers that you will get. Most important recent papers that you will get. So these things you will get, and then who are the top authors? Who are the upcoming authors? They are starting the research now. What are the top journals in which you can publish? What are the similar journals? So these data you will not get anywhere else except in this Insightful. So this is a very important website if you are doing research properly. So with this, uh, the bonus comes to an end, and I thank you for your participation. If you have any comments or if you have any doubts, you can ask me or give your comments. If you want to contact me, you can contact me. My email is prof dot r dot k dot misra at ieee.org. Sorry, at gmail.com. I am giving this mail, leaving the mail in the chat box. You can note the chat box. You can contact me anytime if you want to. Now I am open to questions, answers, and if you have found it useful, if it is useful to even one of the participants, I will be very happy. I will be satisfied. Yes, my YouTube channel. Okay, I'll give you the link now. দেখলো লিঙ্কটা বলো ইউটিউব চ্যানেল লিঙ্ক ସେଇটা নয় এই টক র লিঙ্কটা this is the YouTube challenge link on your project. Dr. Raghavan, AI-inspired Google search is there for maybe 5 years now. 21, 22, Gemini on that topic. But this notebook LM and Google Studio, they are recent 2 years. 23 or not. uh, You can, I will unmute you if you want to ask Dr. Raghavan or not. You can unmute yourself. Dr. Raghavan, you can unmute yourself and ask. Anybody who wants to ask question can unmute and ask.
Sir, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Anjan.
Sir, what to say? I mean, so much to learn from every slide. It was so resourceful. I wish this could have been a much more lengthier session, or maybe each of these components, if it can be broken down, uh, I think it's going to be much more resourceful, sir. I mean, today, whatever we had deliberation, uh, I feel we haven't learned much about the cutting edge research methodology. We are still following that traditional and conventional
Yes,
one.
yes.
And I understand the challenges, I mean, the time and all that you have. But, sir, it would be really nice if you can consider maybe some of the specific parts and then again elaborate it further. Maybe in some time, looking into your schedules and all that, it would be really good, sir.
Mm,
I would really looking.
let me know which part you will like to know more.
I mean,
Or,
uh, sir, it's not about which part I liked or which part I would like to know more, but all of that. In fact, the links that you are sharing in the chat box, I mean, let me be very honest about it. Although I do this systematic literature review and all that, my scholars are also keep publishing, but I never use this, the links that you have shared and leverage the opportunity that is available.
right.
Uh, so,
Yes,
suppose you, I mean, I have copied all the links. Like you started with AI Studio Google, then you have also gone to consensus and all that. So in the research methodology workshop that I also coordinate in the university, although I talk about this interacting with peers and all that type of thing, but I don't tell them to use such apps or sorry, use such links URL and then get enriched. But then what you have described is almost like providing a digital handholding
right,
to the students.
right.
And
Now everybody is
I would love.
using this.
Yes, sir. In fact, all my scholars they have subscribed to Chat GPT. I mean, premium version and all that because they are getting fellowship. They are doing all that. But I follow that classical pattern. I read a hard copy research article and then try to learn and all that type of thing.
No,
So we
that
try
is
to
what I
maintain a
said.
balance.
Don't depend on ChatGPT. Take help.
Sir.
ChatGPT can help you. Don't depend on it. It hallucinates. It
Yes,
will
sir.
give you wrong results. Ultimately, you will
Yes,
get
sir.
into problem. If you depend on any of the AI tools, complete dependence, is going to put you into serious trouble. Use it
True.
as a hint, but then you have to
Sir,
develop.
what happened is recently, I mean, we had communicated a meta-analysis paper on SLR and meta-analysis that
Mhm.
is linking organochlorine pesticide residues with breast cancer incidences.
Mhm.
That is the research that I was doing earlier while I was in Mexico. Then we were doing it. And then the reviewer had given very encouraging comments and they suggested for consideration for final publication after the revision. But one of my collaborator from Mexico who is actually working on it for years together, he's quite senior to me, did not agree with the findings because even if the whole finding is inconclusive, whether organochlorine pesticide residue in food like vegetables, milk, and all that, it is linked with breast cancer in human being. Even if there is one paper which says it is evidence, that means it is evidence. But global literature, when we compile, it provides us very inconclusive outcome. So I
Mhm.
thought this consensus, there is a link you had shared consensus.app.
Mhm.
Since I am completely novice about using that, I could not follow much as how to do it
Okay,
because
then I
just
will do
with
one
one.
thing. Consensus, it requires about 20 minutes complete explanation. I'll do a session on consensus, definitely. I think
Or
on each of the link that I have provided, I'll
yes,
do a
yes, sir,
separate
yes, sir,
session, maybe for 15 to
yes,
20
sir,
minutes, and demonstrating how
yes,
you are
sir.
using it and I will get benefited. Yes, that I can do. That
Yes,
I
sir.
can
I
do.
mean,
Definitely.
that consensus link actually hit my mind that yes, see, even a very seasoned researcher who is working in the domain is disagreeing with our finding. So I that made me not to communicate the paper further because I found no, it is not appropriate to mislead the fraternity. Although the meta-analysis with all the formula it says it is inconclusive, but then there is couple of 2 to 3 papers which says breast cancer is linked with organochlorine pesticide residues. So I felt consensus could have been helped me because I was
Yes, it should
unaware
have.
of all that thing.
Definitely. Yes.
Yes,
That
yes,
is
yes.
why
Now
we
I will
choose
do that.
that. Okay.
Yes, sir. Sir,
Yes.
do you also have YouTube lecture videos using all these URLs? Is it available so that I could read that? I could watch that individually,
Yes.
personally?
Yes. 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 These are available.
Sir, sir.
I,
Okay,
I,
sir. I'll try
I'll
to
provide
explore
it.
that in.
I will provide it.
Sure,
Yes.
sure, sir. Sure, sure. Thank you,
Okay.
sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Anya. Is there any other question or comment?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Yes.
Sir, I am Jupiter. Sir, in the present scenario, there is lot of AI tools which will help us to do literature review. Sir,
Mhm.
can there is any app cover all the research paper? That's why anyone feel that everything is covered by the that particular tool.
No, 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 no.
Okay.
There is no app
Okay, sir.
which covers all the research papers. No. That you have to do
Okay,
yourself.
sir.
That is why I gave you three uh, things. One is Google Scholar, other is Semantic Scholar, other is OpenAlex. These three. Use those three, you will get about 80% of the 80 to 90% of the research papers. Then you can go to consensus.
Sir,
But consensus was
sir, before 1 year,
I cannot
sir,
hear you.
before 1 year, sir, actually, before 1 year, I watched your illicit particular illicit video.
Mhm.
After which I use illicit for like 1 year till now. Sir, but
Okay.
today the illicit app is totally only giving two options. Like only you can see the two options. Like if you go through the aim of the study, then you can only access the result of the work. After which you cannot access the every point which will see before. For particular that reason, which app will may help
That
us
is why
for
I
free version.
said SciSpace. SciSpace, I have given you the link. Use SciSpace. 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 This is an alternative to illicit.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, since there is no more question, I thank everybody for joining, particularly Professor Raghavan for finding out time and joining this session, and Anjan for joining this and having a wonderful discussion and his inputs. Thank you all. Maybe we'll meet soon with another topic. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Namaskar, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.